does remain right there in Milwaukee. The Bucks actively engaging in talks for trade scenarios for Giannis Antetokounmpo. Will it happen this week? Will it happen after the season? So many questions. So we go back to Shams. Shams, what more can you tell us about what's going on there?
And Bucks officials, executives, ownership, they're all huddling around the clock on figuring out where they want to play this Giannis situation, either at the deadline or in the offseason. As I reported last week, Giannis Antetokounmpo is ready for his exit from Milwaukee, whether it's at the deadline, in the offseason. So the Bucks have been sifting through aggressive offers from teams like Miami, Golden State, Minnesota, New York. And so a lot of these deals, Warriors has been pick heavy. Minnesota's been player heavy and player centric. And then you have the Heat as kind of a combination of both picks and players. So you have to sift through that. Can anything reach the threshold where you're going to move the two-time MVP? But there's a conflict here in the second half of this Bucks season. They are playing more toward lottery positioning and jockeying than for Giannis's return from a calf strain. So where does that leave him? And he wants to play basketball. He wants to compete for a championship in the second half of the season. This is a Bucks team that's now 11 games under 500. They've plummeted in the Eastern Conference standings. So what's the risk reward doing a deal now versus in the summer when Giannis will be an expiring contract?
Thanks. So much to consider. So many people interested. Shams all over it. Thank you. And earlier today, Jimmy Haslam, who owns the Cleveland Browns, obviously, but also shares majority ownership of the Bucks. He was holding a press conference about football, but was asked about Giannis.
Jason, Giannis is, I don't know, top 3, top 4 player in the world. He brought Milwaukee its first championship in 50 years, several years ago. And he's a really good person, too. He's no problem. He's a great leader, tries hard. And I think Giannis and the Bucks, and this goes back before we were involved, have always worked closely to see what's best for Giannis and what's best for the Bucks, and we'll continue to do so.
What's the success?
This, Jason, Giannis is, I don't know, top 3, top 4 player in the world. He brought Milwaukee its first championship in 50 years, several years ago. And he's a really good person, too. He's no problem. He's a great leader, tries hard. And I think Giannis and the Bucks.
Just in case you didn't hear it the first time.
He's a top. We know he's a top 3 player.
Exactly. We just want to run it back for y'all. Make sure everybody's paying attention. Wendy, this Bucks ownership situation is really interesting. I wonder how this impacts the Giannis of it all.
Yeah,
Can you lay it out for us?
I can understand why people are like, why won't they just do something? And I just want to explain the difficulty that comes with a trade like this, because obviously you have to have the Bucks happy with the return, the team that's offering Giannis, those have to agree. Then because Giannis is a free agent after next season and he has to sign an extension, he's got to kind of be on board. It doesn't have to sign off on it, but you're going to get a better offer if he's on board. Then you've got the Bucks ownership situation. The Bucks have a relatively unique ownership structure. They have 3 owners who all share control. There are 2 owners, Jimmy Haslam and Wes Edens, who share the governorship. And when they have a big decision to make, like trading Giannis, the 3 of them vote. Now, most of the time, over the years where they've had this 3-person panel, they've agreed. But there have been times in the past where they don't agree. And so you have to get ownership on board, Giannis on board, Bucks on board, next team on board. And it's not a simple thing.
Right.
So that is why I suspect, and others suspect, that getting it done by Thursday is going to take a heroic effort. And I suspect when it does happen, it's going to be the result of a lot of those things having to align.
All right, what would it take to get this deal done? Like, what do you have to give up to make this thing a no-brainer?
Well, I just had flashbacks to my first year in New Jersey. Like, we had a group called the Sea Caucus 7 who couldn't make up their mind.
Exactly.
And that just reminded me exactly of what probably Milwaukee is going through right now. All right, here is your checklist, draft picks. You got to get some draft picks as part of the trade. Golden State's got the 4. We all know that. Miami's got 2. New York and Miami have none. New York and Minnesota have none. Controllable contracts, young players. Me and Brian are at the Clipper game last night. I see a young player in Philadelphia. He's not available, and VJ Edgecombe. That's the type of player that you're looking for, that blue chip prospect. And then the third, expiring contracts or movable salary. So as Anthony said, is it Draymond Green that would be in there that you could potentially move in another deal here? But there is a checklist for Milwaukee, and the big question is going to be, can you get it now? Or are you going to have to wait until the offseason?
I mean, what would you guys like to see happen here? I know there's all sorts of machinations and, it can be very complicated, but what's your dream for him?
Well, the cool thing about Giannis is Giannis plays a style of basketball that I
I mimic it to having a Kevin Durant on your team. You can't go wrong with no matter what uniform. He plays hard. He's going to do the same things as far as rebound, do a full run out. He can play the point just playing with Jason Kidd. It's all a part of his DNA to play good basketball, it's successful basketball, and you compare him with any other superstar and expect some results. So I don't really mind where he goes. I was just excited when I thought it was the Knicks.
Oh, you were excited when you thought it was the Knicks?
So were they.
I just, you know what I'm saying? I like
we
that.
don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. Sinead, real quick word. Yeah.
Look, my eyes are on Golden State.
Okay.
The urgency is there. He wants to win, and that would be a huge moment for the power balance of the NBA.
Okay, Bobby.
I will say this, and the expiring contract plays a lot into it, where he's got another year left.
Yep.
If Giannis had 3 or 4 more years left on his contract, there would have been teams like what we just saw with Utah go out and trade for Jaren Jackson Jr. Because he has 4 or 5 years left on their contract.
Thank you for bringing me to our next subject, because we are going to talk about the Utah Jazz. That trade that Choms reported earlier today, the Grizzlies are trading Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Jazz, part of an 8-player trade involving Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, George Niang, 3 first-round picks, as we now bring in senior writer Tim Bontemps. So what is Utah planning to do this season with the addition of Jackson Jr.?
Well, they're going to be huge, Hannah. They're going to be one of the bigger teams in the league with a 6'10" Jaren Jackson Jr., a 7'1" Larry Markkinen, and when he's healthy next season, a 7'2" center in Walker Kessler. The Jazz are going to be one of the biggest teams in the league, and in a Western Conference where you've got the Oklahoma City Thunder with Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet Holmgren, the San Antonio Spurs with Victor Wembanyama and Luke Cornett, the Houston Rockets with Steven Adams when he gets back out, the Parent Şengün with Kevin Durant. These teams across the West are all jumbo-sized teams. Obviously, Nikola Jokic in Denver. To go up against those teams, you have to have size. And the Jazz believe the combination of these 3 guys together, with the shooting that Larry Markkinen and Jaren Jackson have, the interior presence of Jaren Jackson, a former Defensive Player of the Year with Walker Kessler, gives them the ability to go up against those teams. And they felt the price for Jaren Jackson Jr. was too good to pass up, even though they're obviously in the middle of what currently is a rebuilding season.
Yeah, so there's a whole other layer to this, right? The Jazz lose their first-round pick if it falls outside the top 8 spots in the lottery. Now, as of today, they have the 6th worst record in the NBA. So talk us through the significance of this.
Well, this is something, Hannah, that the entire league is going to be watching over the next couple of months. There's been a lot of talk over the past couple of years about protected picks, like this top 8 pick that the Utah Jazz have. Last year, the Sixers had a top 6 protected pick. Bobby Marks just mentioned VJ Edgecombe. The Sixers kept that pick and got the 3rd pick in the draft by tanking for the entire second half of last season. And I think you can expect, even after this trade, the Utah Jazz are going to try very hard to keep that top 8 protected pick. And if it falls outside the top 8, if it gets to 9th or 10th, it goes to the Oklahoma City Thunder, the defending champions who already have a ton of talent on the roster. And by the way, who had that Sixers pick last year that they didn't get as well. So that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch over the next couple of months.
You've literally got us all shaking our heads, but I mean, they're walking a very fine line here. Tim Bontemps, we appreciate you jumping on with this. And this Thursday on ESPN, it's going to be all hands on deck, which basically it is right now. We have a 4-hour trade deadline special.
Curry. Steph Curry with a 7th three-pointer.
10 years ago on this date, Steph Curry dropping 51 against the Wizards, 11 of 15 from long range, improving the Warriors to 45-4 on their way to the historic 73 wins. Now, Steph's not in uniform tonight as the Warriors host the Sixers. He has left sciatic nerve irritation. This will be the 12th game he's missed this season due to injuries, averaging just over 27 per game and shooting close to 40% from three-point range. As our senior writer with the Warriors, Anthony Slater, joins us now. What's the state of this team less than 48 hours before the deadline, Slater?
Yeah, on the ground is the injury issues, which you mentioned. It's actually Seth Curry dealing with the sciatica. Steph Curry's dealing with the runner's knee, a kind of persistent issue that they're trying to manage. And that's, giving them trouble trying to win in the moment. But we all know hovering over them is much more important, bigger picture questions. Just there's a general unease because they know, the players know this team is chasing after Giannis Antetokounmpo, and if you're chasing after a big fish like the Warriors are, that either means you have to trade Jimmy Butler or Draymond Green just from salary matching purposes. And the reality is Draymond Green in this current market is a more maneuverable contract. And, a 27.6 team option next season. He's playing, he's available, unlike Jimmy Butler, obviously, who's rehabbing an ACL tear. So, Draymond Green, he means so much to this franchise. But as they try to rearrange the roster and puzzle piece stuff together and get in the Giannis market, the big fish market, the reality is Draymond Green has to come up in those conversations.
Yeah, and thank you so much for the Curry brothers clarification. We appreciate you.